Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going over a very quick and very thorough rundown of everything we learned about the Revenant Elite Specialization, the Vindicator. So let's begin with the weapon. We have Mist Swing into Mist Slash, which applies some vulnerability, with the final auto attack being Arcing Mists with increased damage, chill, and 2 stacks of vuln. The Greatsword's second skill is Mist Unleashed, a large AoE ability that applies some vulnerability and some pretty heavy damage. Next, we have Phantom's Onslaught, the third skill. Rush towards your opponent, cleaving the area, applying some chill. This is mostly your travel and gap closing skill. Your fourth skill being Imperial Guard. Block incoming attacks for a prolonged duration and ready a counterattack that deals increased damage based on the attacks blocked. The more you block, the more damage this True Strike skill will do. And the fifth skill for Greatsword is Eternity's Requiem. Whirl your Greatsword, opening holes in the mists that deal damage. This will randomly explode 24 packets of mist energy around the skill animation where you get into the air, you spin your Greatsword around, and it will start dealing damage. Interestingly enough, with each hit of this skill, the next hit of the Mist Explosion will deal 10% less damage, just to be sure that you don't instantly die, though this might not necessarily be possible to be hit with all 24 packets of the damage. It just appears to be more so out of precaution. Next, let's go into the actual legend that the Vindicator is getting. This is the legendary Alliance. This is where you are channeling both Archimorus and Saint Victor, Kurzik and Luxin champions. So let us go straight into the utilities, and of course, it being Revenant, there aren't that many options, but there is an interesting flip over mechanic on Vindicator. So Selfish Spirit is the Archimorus skill. Channel your rage into the nearby area, healing and empowering yourself for each enemy struck. You'll be doing a little bit of damage, but it's mostly for that heal might. But you also apply some vulnerability. This will flip over into Selfless Spirit, which you just heal allies in an area. Next is Nomads Advance. Lunge forward, dealing damage and gaining might for each target struck. It's another gap closer, well, mostly just a leap also, and a damage, and it applies some might. Pretty nice. This will flip over into Battle Dance. Evade backward, granting boons to allies. These boons being resistance and regen. Scavenger Burst. Unleash your rage at foes in the area, gaining quickness and endurance for each foe struck. Quickness is lovely, but endurance also becomes extremely important on this profession, which we will get into afterwards. This will flip over into Tree Song, which is a pretty potent support skill. Grant regeneration and cleanse conditions from allies in the targeted area, healing them for each condition removed. Gain endurance for each affected ally, and gain additional endurance for each condition removed. So nice heal, low packets of regen, and also condition removal. This is really probably great in PvP in World vs. World. Next we have Reavers Rage, a stun break. Break stun and attack nearby enemies, gaining stability and fury for each target struck. This will flip over into Awakening. Break stun on nearby allies and grant protection. This does appear to also break your own stuns, but I do think it'd be interesting if it didn't break your stun because that's already on Archimorus, while the Saint Victor one is purely focused on allies. Next, we're going into the elites. For Archimorus, it's Spear of Archimorus. Call upon the Spirit of Archimorus to hurl his spear at your foe, dealing significant damage. This is quite a long-range skill of 2,000 units with a decent chunk of damage and torment application. This will flip over into Urn of Saint Victor. Become the Urn of Saint Victor, taking continuous damage while healing nearby allies. You take reduced damage while in this state, but you cannot be healed. I really love this skill, and I'll definitely talk a little bit more about this spec next week when I get to test them in the betas, but the healing is really nice, it's very supportive, but the effect itself is what I'm most interested in. You have 50% increased movement speed, you take 50% less damage, but you are taking continuous pulses of damage. So you're sacrificing your own health to heal allies. And then this will also flip over into another skill where you can drop the urn for a larger healing factor, and you can apply some protection and resistance and other more supportive boons. Next, we have the profession mechanic, Alliance Tactics. Because this Vindicator swaps utility skills every time it uses a utility skill, it's sometimes difficult, and I imagine will be a little clunky and difficult to actually get to the legend skills that you want. So Alliance Tactics seeks to remedy that just a little bit, but I'm not exactly sure how this will play. Alliance tactics: gain endurance for your dodge and swap your legendary alliance stance skills. This is 50 endurance, which is quite a bit. It's on a 20-second cooldown and costs 25 energy. So that is the weapon, the utilities, and the new profession F2. Interestingly enough, for the Vindicator, they also have a dodge change, where you no longer necessarily dodging, but you remove yourself from combat for just a brief moment, and then you can move in any direction while doing this. And when the skill ends, you will drop down, dealing some damage and doing an effect in an area. Now let's go into the actual traits, where you can see some more buildcraft and diversity. For the miners, we have balance and discord. Gain health and boons when swapping legends, or by using alliance tactics while attuned to the legendary alliance. This is a decent heal and regen. It's pretty strong, actually. And then the next miner is Empire Divided. Gain increased power while above the health threshold, and gain increased healing power when below it. I actually don't mind this as much as I would on another profession because of that one skill, Urn of Saint Victor, where you're dealing damage to yourself and hopefully gaining more healing to allies. Now let's talk about the Adepts. Leviathan Strength. F2 now refreshes the cooldowns of Alliance utility skills. The cooldown of F2 is increased by 20 seconds. Next, we have Amnesty of Xinjiang. Legendary Alliance abilities gain an additional bonus. Activating F2 grants both of these bonuses simultaneously. Luxon abilities will grant regeneration, while Kurzik abilities grant might in an area. Redemptor's Sermon. When struck while below the health threshold, heal allies in the area and cleanse their conditions. This is when you get hit to 50%, and then you'll deal some extra healing and remove those condies. This could interact with that minor trait when it's now a stronger heal, because I believe if you're below 50%, you deal more health. I'm not exactly sure how this might work. Of course, in combat, you might actually get struck below 50%. You're not necessarily going to be at 50% when this triggers. So you could get some extra healing power out of this. Next, we have Reavers Curse. Gain endurance for each target affected by your dodge. I really enjoy this, actually. I really like simplified traits that have very interesting ideas and how they might function. And when we get into the Grandmasters, one Grandmaster trait in particular can allow you to get a lot of endurance back if you take Reavers Curse. Next, we have Ong Sayan's Trust. In the live stream, they had a little bit of difficulty coming down to a specific pronunciation. I myself might have forgot. I hope I said it correctly. But yes, this trait grants endurance in an area when swapping legends or activating alliance tactics. Once again, some extra endurance generation. Your effectiveness is decreased in terms of radius when you are not in the Vindicator. You get a little extra help when you're not in it, but you really want to be in that Vindicator slot. Song of Arborium. Grant vigor to yourself and nearby allies after dodging. Vigor has an increased effect on you. 50% is pretty insane, but because you only have one dodge, it is probably needed, especially if you want to be able to dodge and survive a little bit. This might be actually good for self-sustain. And next we go into the Grandmasters. All the Grandmasters impact the dodge skill, similar to Daredevil. First and foremost, we have Forerunner of Death. Your total endurance and the cost of dodging are both increased. Dodging now deals more damage, but affects a smaller area. I like that a lot. Gain increased damage for a period of time upon impact. This is 15 seconds of 15% increased damage. Forerunner of Death might become extremely strong in both PvP and PvE, just for that passive alone. But the new ability that you get for your dodge, similar, I mean, it's not greatly changed, but it has a different name. It's now called Death Drop. Also a dip. A shablam, if you will. Drop from above, dealing a massive strike on the focused area. In PvE, it does a large packet of damage, around 2,000, 2,500, 10 packets of vulnerability, and of course, that Forerunner of Death. For the next Grandmaster, we have Imperial Impact. This is the trait which probably greatly impacts Reavers Curse, because it not only affects enemies, but also allies. Drop from above, delivering a powerful attack to enemies while granting boons to allies. This is decent damage, but it mostly applies chill, might, and protection on 10 targets, 5 enemies, and 5 allies. So if you take Reavers Curse, you're getting 50 endurance, I believe. I think it was like 5 endurance per target struck. 5 times 10, you're going to be getting about 50 endurance back on a single dodge, which is really powerful. In addition to that, you are gaining a lot of might stacks and protection, which can be very strong in PvE. So I might need to keep an eye on how much this actually pumps out. And finally, we have a more supportive dodge. Saint of Zuhaltzer. Your endurance bar and the cost of dodging are reduced, but the affected area is increased. You now heal allies in an area when you land instead of dealing damage. Outgoing healing is increased for a period of time upon landing. This, I feel, will work really well with certain Vintari traits. I'm really interested to see how I can build a healing Vindicator, but the new ability for your dodge is Saint's Shield. Drop from above, granting barrier and healing allies in the affected area. Decent barrier, decent healing, but you also get 20% increased healing effectiveness to others in a 300 radius with the heal and the barrier. It's a lot. It's pretty strong and it's pretty impactful, and I cannot wait to see how this pairs with Vintari. So everyone, thank you so much for coming for this quick little roundup. Hopefully it was much quicker and more concise than perhaps the more longer live stream. Thank you guys for coming. Like, subscribe, comment down below your thoughts about the Vindicator. I know I have many thoughts about, especially about the swapping of the utility skills. I'm not sure if I entirely love that, but once again, I will have a more fuller impressions video when we get into the betas. But once again, if you'd like to support the channel, I have a Patreon down below, and you can purchase End of Dragons, pre-order End of Dragons, purchase the expansions, and also test the game out for free with my affiliate links below. So thank you everyone for coming, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone. Mwah!